You mentioned sync versus async. We try to look at it as sync complementing async. There are two tools in a toolbox. Sometimes you need the synchronous tool, sometimes you need the asynchronous tool. But we've been very intentional about weaving asynchronous workflows into the culture at GitLab and to create massive tailwinds around this to really galvanize people to learn to do things very differently, maybe even counter to what has got them to a certain point in their career. The best way to do that is to integrate it into your values and operating principles. It really can't, it's non-optional. If you look at the GitLab values page, you'll find an operating principle of bias toward asynchronous communication. And we actually bundle that within our diversity, inclusion, and belonging value, not our results or efficiency value. And the core reason for that is if you are thoughtful and deliberate enough to move a piece of work forward without commandeering 30 or 50 minutes of someone's day, you are fundamentally being more respectful of their time. And so for us, async is about the work for sure, but it's also about showing respect to other people. Now, what do you need to do something like this? It's quite difficult to stand it up. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of organizations who have, quote, gone remote, essentially copy and paste the office environment into the virtual environment and not really take advantage of what's possible when you are globally distributed. The core reason that I have found is that most management philosophies prioritize the speed of knowledge transfer, as in how fast can person A tap person B on the shoulder and transfer something from one brain to the other. But to do this well, your management has to optimize for the speed of knowledge retrieval. How fast can person A and person B seek and find information on parallel tracks without needing each other to be online or awake or fully brought up to speed? And this really gets at the heart of building infrastructure, building systems that optimize for that. And it's a completely different way of thinking from the co-located norms of getting people together such that knowledge is always in physical proximity to each other. When you're working across the globe, you can't assume that someone's available, that they're online, that they're in the same time zone, that they're not on PTO. So now we're seeing companies scramble to build systems, knowledge management systems, so that that information isn't just in someone's head. That's how you scale knowledge in a global space. You did ask a bit about meetings. So at GitLab, all meetings are optional, and we're very intentional about what a synchronous meeting has to have before it can even be accepted on a calendar. All work meetings have to have an agenda, no attenda. This is, again, being respectful of someone's time so that even if they can't make the synchronous meeting, there's an agenda there from the start. They can input their questions. They can input a Loom, for example. They actually can contribute to the meeting without physically being there. And also, this is how we scale information. Even after that meeting happens, the agenda is still there. We can go back, we can reference it, we can see what decisions were made. If there's anything crucial that the entire organization needs to know, we can document that in the handbook. And that's how we enable meetings to be optional. We also document what good meetings look like and what things shouldn't necessarily be in meetings. Organizations ask me all the time, how do we reduce meetings? And my friends at Levels Health have this concept of memos over meetings, which I really like, instead of the term asynchronous, which feels very big and weighty and nerdy at times. But things like FYIs, status updates, and recurring meetings are the low-hanging fruit. So if you're listening to this and you're like, where do I start? Status updates, FYIs, recurring meetings, those are usually the first that can go.